Okay, let's continue our grammatical journey. I hope you learned something, and I hope no one falls asleep or contemplates suicide. I talked in detail about the word that. I showed that it's one of the few words that has 5 grammatical functions. It might be the only one that has 5 grammatical functions. I talked about that in detail. And the word that, used as a noun clause indicator. When it's used as a noun clause indicator, the word that with a noun clause can have one of 6 different functions. It can function as a subject, direct object, appositive, subject complement, adjective complement, or noun complement. It can't serve as the object of a preposition, but we'll talk about that later. Now, as an appositive or noun complement, the that clause was discussed in detail in these videos, my videos, great detail. And now I'd like to talk about the word that in a noun clause. I call it a that noun clause, functioning as something other than an appositive or a noun complement, okay? In other words, I already talked in great detail about the that noun clause functioning as an appositive and a noun complement. So let's look at it as the other 4: subject, direct object, subject complement, and adjective complement, okay? See if you can follow along here. Now, the word that is in our noun clause. It's a that noun clause. You can see it. That he lives to serve is honorable. Now, I gave you these sample sentences in previous videos, and they might sound a little goofy, but I used them specifically to make a point. I gave extreme examples so we could quickly get to the point. This sentence here, that he lives to serve is honorable. In other words, he lives to serve his fellow human and do good things and is not narcissistic, egocentric, and he cares about others more than himself. So that's the sentence. But when you first hear this, you might kind of wonder what goes on in the brain. Why would somebody say that using that specific wording? Well, actually, deep down in the brain, before you speak, it's lightning fast, faster than it's the speed of thought. What you're really saying is, if you followed my other videos, you know how I think. You're actually saying the trait that he lives to serve is honorable. In other words, the distinguishing quality, the trait, his mission, his impetus, his drive. Okay, so what you're really saying is the trait, okay, that he lives to serve is honorable. So the trait in your deep in your mind would be the subject, and that he lives to serve would be functioning then as a noun complement. All right. So you see here, the trait, this noun phrase, serving as a subject, is an assumed subject. It's assumed in your mind. You know what you're saying, and when you speak to somebody, you kind of make it elliptical. You kind of cut it short and concise, and you don't want to speak every little word that's deep down inside your brain. It'd take you 4 years to make one sentence. So the point is, what we have here then is, we had initially, okay, and deep in the mind, we had a subject plus a noun complement. You see that? But that transformed simply into a noun complement, all right? A noun clause functioning as the subject. You see this here? Here you end up with the noun clause functioning as the subject in this sentence. Okay? I hope you can follow that. You have kind of a transformation thing going on here. Now let's look at that noun clause as a direct object. And the sample sentence that I gave initially would be, I heard that he lives to serve. Okay? You see here the noun clause, that noun clause is functioning as a direct object. All right? But in the mind, deep down inside, at the core of your thought, the core, the seminal germ in the thought contains everything, every bit of information. But we don't speak that because it would take too long. But in the mind, you're kind of saying something like this. I heard the claim that he lives to serve, okay? I heard the claim that he lives to serve, or you could say, I heard the rumor that he lives to serve. So in that situation, all right, in the deep innate grammar, what you have is the noun phrase to claim, and that's your direct object. I heard the claim, direct object. And here again, that noun clause would function as a noun complement again. So you see here, okay, you have an assumed direct object and it's deleted. In the mind, it's deleted so you can just say this. I heard that he, etc. Okay? So what you had initially was a direct object plus a noun complement, and you had that little transformation, and the noun clause itself is now functioning as a direct object. See, the noun clause itself is simply functioning. So here you have the original deep direct object was deleted before you spoke, and you ended up with this. It's just like the previous example. See here, the trait, the noun phrase here, we deleted it before we spoke, and we ended up with this, okay? So that's the second one. Okay, the third one then, hold on a second. My paper, oh, I got it. That noun clause can function as a subject complement. And here was my sample sentence. The point is that he lives to serve, okay? But deep down inside, you're saying more than that. You're kind of saying the point is this, colon, he lives to serve. You see, we have here, we have a demonstrative pronoun, the word this. The point is this, it's a pronoun, and you have a colon, okay? So what you have here is you have a subject complement, and then you have a noun clause, all right? The subject complement is your demonstrative pronoun plus your colon, okay? Word plus punctuation, and it kind of transforms simply into that. You see, this word this and the colon is replaced with the word that, all right? And that is what I call a proform, kind of a substitute. The word that in this case substitutes for a word and punctuation, or a word's plural and punctuation. I talked about that in my previous videos when I talked about proforms. When I was trying to teach you about the word that functioning as a distinction indicator, okay, I showed how you have this thing that I call a abstract proform. In other words, in the mind, I gave you this example here. The plant died, period. The plant was a rose. And with this proform abstraction here, I showed you how the punctuation and the words are replaced with the word that. That was extremely important in my videos to express the abstract proform. So when you get to the example I just gave, okay, this is another example of a deep abstract substitution. The word this plus the colon is replaced with the word that. And that's what you get up here. The point is that he lives to serve, okay? You can review this if you get confused, but it's going to start to make sense once you think it through. All right? It took me a long time to get this, to nail it. Okay, now, that noun clause can function finally as an adjective complement, okay? Now, in my previous videos, I mentioned that the noun complement was initially controversial. It fell under the descriptive perspective of grammar, and it kind of conflicted with the prescriptive form, which I really like, the traditional old-fashioned. But the point was, the noun complement and adjective complement are nothing new. They've always been here. They've always been here, but no one categorized them and organized them and put them where they belong in the file of grammatical terms, okay? And that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to show you something, okay? So the sample sentence would be, I am delighted that he lives to serve, okay? I am delighted that he lives to serve, all right? But deep down in the brain, in the mind, before you speak, you have access to all the elements and all the factors in a sentence. You have to, or you won't be able to speak. It'll be just jibber jabber. So deep down in the brain, you're kind of saying, I am delighted by the fact that he lives to serve, okay? I am delighted by the fact, okay? By the fact, you see, fact is an object of this preposition by, all right? And then that he lives to serve, okay, would be a noun complement, right, in this application. That's a little weird, but you're saying, I am delighted, and then from here to here, you have an entire prepositional phrase, okay? So in this case, the phrase by the fact is deleted. So your prepositional phrase, all right, is transformed into simply an adjective complement. I am delighted that he lives to serve. See, by the fact was in the mind, was taken out. Okay? Now, no matter how you look at it, you can say by the fact that he lives to serve, or you can simply say that he lives to serve. In either case, in this sample sentence, you can call it an adjective complement because that's the way the modern contemporary descriptive grammar teaches. But that group of words is adverbial. It's adverbial, the function. You can say, okay, that's an adjective complement. This is an adjective complement for this word delighted. But it is functioning, it is creating an adverbial feel. Why? Because an adverb tells you what? It tells you where, when, why, how, to what extent, for what reason, to what degree, under what condition, or by what condition. And that's what this is doing here. I am delighted that he lives to serve. You're delighted, it's answering the question of why. Or how are you delighted? Or why are you delighted? What's delighting you? Okay? So this adjective complement in this situation here, and in many situations, is actually adverbial. Okay? I won't go into any more detail because nobody probably cares. So you see then that an adjective complement, let me just tell you, this can have three forms, all right? The adjective complement can be a noun clause, it can be a prepositional phrase, or it can employ an infinitive. Let's look at the examples here. Okay. I'm overjoyed that she loves me. So the adjective complement is that she loves me, and it's a noun clause. Now the next sentence would be, she's very interested in psychology. So you see, the adjective complement in psychology is a prepositional phrase. And then the third example, okay, the sentence is, I'm relieved to know that she's safe at home. Okay, I'm relieved. Now here's the adjective complement, to know that she's safe at home. So you see here we have a present infinitive, to know, and that gives you your adjective complement there. So the adjective complement can be in the form of a noun clause, a prepositional phrase, or an infinitive. Let me just hold that there. It's a beautiful thing. It's actually quite simple, but very few people actually teach it in such a way that you say, oh, I see, I get it. And that's it. I took way too long. I apologize. So I hope you learned something, and good night.